Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. My name's Molly. I'm the founder, owner, operator, everything for Lacquer22, a small nail polish company. Today we're going to be doing a continuation of sorts. So last week and a half ago, I posted the video of if I could only keep one palette from every brand that I own. So today I'm going to be doing the inverse of that, and this is again from Rachel Palmieri, Batty Bean. I saw Heather Austin do this one as well. So this is going to be if I had to declutter one palette from every brand that I own. This is not going to be in the same order as last video. This is not any order in particular, just kind of how I have them stacked up. Let's get started. In the last video, I started with About Face, and I'm actually going to start with About Face again, just because it's the smallest, so it's on top. The About Fluid eye paint that I would get rid of, if I had to get rid of one, would be Spectre. Now, this is the orange one. I absolutely love orange eyeshadows, but this is kind of a jelly formula if I'm talking polish. So let's see if it'll capture here. It's kind of see-through in parts. It's really hard to layer to get a solid coverage of this color. So some parts look more yellow, some parts are more of the deep orange. It's hard to blend out. It's hard to get an even covering, and it's just kind of tricky to work with for this shade specifically. So I wouldn't be upset to get rid of it, even though it's orange, my favorite color. It's just not easy to use. Next up we have Kidos. I kind of went back and forth with this one because the Flower Punk shimmers have kind of died out on me, but I ultimately decided to get rid of the Black Jasmine quad. It's just a monochromatic quad. I have black in other palettes, I have gray in other palettes, I have silver in other palettes. I feel like I wasted money buying this. I just don't need it. It's good quality, but it's not fun, and I have it elsewhere. So this next one that I have, Bella Beauté Bar, I only have 2 palettes from them, so this was my only option to declutter. I decided to keep the recently de-influenced palette and get rid of Basic Witch. First off, I love the wording on this. It's like holographic glitter. It's beautiful. This is a very pink and purple palette. I enjoy wearing pinks and purples, just not necessarily these tones. I feel like they're just a little too bright for me. Love this acid green. I love this like kind of darker, super smoky color. I feel like it kind of leans on the purple side, just very barely. The shimmers, duochromes in here are beautiful. I love this orange, of course. It's a pretty shade, but I just kind of prefer the earthy tones of recently de-influenced compared to this one. Again, I like it. Okay, I like this one a lot. This is all hypothetical, and I'm not getting rid of it, but if I had to. The palette that I chose from this next brand was so easy, and I've spoken about this palette on the channel before. This is the Tokyo palette from Nomad. It's all mainly pastels, and then this entire row here is satins, and I can't stand satin eyeshadows. It's pretty, but pastels are just not my favorite. They don't show up well on me, and I'm also just not really like a springtime pastel girl. Those aren't my favorite tones. So really easy decision there. The next brand we have is Unearthly. If you've been on the channel at all, you probably realize that I like Unearthly a lot. The palette that I chose was Hauntingly Glamorous. So this is one of their older palettes that I have. I really love the color story of this, but this is just their older formula, and it's just not as good as their new formula. So that's kind of the main factor. These shimmers are both very chalky, not great. This teal right here is really hard to blend out. It's not the best quality that they've done, so I would be okay parting with it, even though I really like the colors in here. But again, I'm not getting rid of it. It's staying here forever, but if I had to. The next palette that I have is from Cosmic Brushes. Now, I did an oopsie and I forgot about Cosmic cosmic brushes in my other video because it wasn't in my Excel sheet because I goofed. So it's going to be included in this one for the decluttering. This is the Serenity palette. This is kind of their first palette that went crazy online, and I think it's really pretty, and I don't have any problems with the quality or anything. The shimmers aren't my favorite from the brand like as a whole, but other than that, it's a good palette. I just feel like I struggle trying to put looks together, and I mean, looking at it, it's mostly blues and greens, so I shouldn't have trouble with it. There's just something in here that messes with my brain and I'm not able to combine colors, and I don't know what it is. This one gets the least amount of use because for some reason I can't process what's happening in the palette. I really enjoy the bite-sized quads from e.l.f. I feel like they serve a really good purpose. They have a good price point. They're pretty good quality, but I really can't stand, let me not say I can't stand, the Retro Paradise palette from a few summers ago is just not that great. A lot of the shimmers in here are just not worth it. I feel like the neutrals did well, like the mattes were fine. The shimmers in here were just really disappointing. Typically very chalky and chunky and just not a good texture to work with. And ultimately this like summery, beautiful bronzy color story is just not my jam, so I would be okay getting rid of this one. Next, from Dose of Colors, I really enjoy their formulations and I appreciate the size of their palettes. This is the Snow Angels palette. This was limited edition, I don't even know how long ago. I really like this color story in here. I feel like it's fun and it's very wintry and it has a good vibe to it. Quality is good. This just is not an all-in-one palette and I kind of prefer that. It's really pretty. I don't know, it's the one that I would say goodbye to. Next, from Gourmande Girls, this is the Spooked palette. So I have actually had a pretty decent experience with this palette. I know that I've talked about how Gourmande Girls hasn't been my favorite time with eyeshadows, but this palette's pretty good. The only issue that I have with it is that it's just too neutral for my liking. So many of the mattes are just neutral shades and that's not my preference, so this is the one that I would choose to say goodbye to. From Colourpop, if I had to get rid of a palette, now this hopefully isn't a surprise if you've seen my Colourpop ranking video, it's the Gone Matte. This is the Mega Matte Neutral palette. Again, like I've been saying, I'm just not a neutral person. I think this would be a really fun, perfect palette for those of you that actually enjoy neutrals. Neutrals are kind of just in my way a lot of the times. I would rather have a more fun color. I'd rather have a different undertone, you know, something to mix it up a little bit. Good quality, it's just not my jam. Next up, from Odin's Eye, this is the Hella palette from Angelica. Now, I love Odin's Eye, I love Angelica. This is just a little bit too neutral again for me. I really like these kind of murky tones that we have. I just don't feel like we need all three of those mattes right there. I feel like it's kind of redundant. The shimmers are really pretty, but again, I feel like we could have just done some different things, maybe had different shades of green, different shades of pink, pink and green with different undertones that are already here. I don't know, I feel like there could have been some other things that kind of mixed it up, played with it a little bit more. Again, I like it, I'm keeping it. I don't want to get rid of it, but if I had to, this would probably be the one that I would miss the least just because of the similarities in some of those mattes. I just kind of feel like it's wasted space. This next one probably shouldn't be a surprise either if you've seen my ranking Glam Light palettes video. This is their Ghostface palette. I really love the Scream franchise. This palette though is just, it's a little too monochromatic. I bought it in hopes that the blue, purple, and black were all different enough on the eye. They're not. It's all just deep. So that's really unfortunate to me because I can only really get a handful of looks out of this palette. and that's upsetting to me. I appreciate the shimmers in here. I think it's really great that we have a light matte and a dark matte and light shimmers and darker shimmers. It's just, I don't know, not my favorite. I don't need that many dark shades, and I especially don't need that many dark shades when they all look the same on me. For the last brand, we have my Sweet Baby Blend Bunny. And I kind of went back and forth with a couple of their palettes. I really enjoy having the neons in Surge. That's why I'm choosing to keep that one. However, there are some of the darker mattes in Surge that are just too dark and you can't really get the color out of them. They just kind of become gray, become black. So I don't love that. I feel like even with Lure, how I'm not really a mermaid girl, I've said that before on the channel, I still appreciate that color story a little bit more than this one. So ultimately I had to choose one. Again, I'm not getting rid of it for real skis, but this is the Sickly Sweet palette. This is what they did for Halloween. I thought it was a super fun take on Halloween. They did something completely out of the box, and I think that's really, really great for them. However, it's a pastel palette. The shimmers in here are beautiful. I really, really appreciate them still having some dark shades kind of sprinkled about. If there were not the dark shades, I would not have bought it. Every time I've used this palette, I thought the look really came out well. It's just that these colors aren't my jam. Typically, if I'm using a pastel, I need to have a white base, and I don't know. I don't really ever crave to wear pastels, so it's just not really something I'm super interested in, if that makes sense. It's great blend bunning quality, so I'm keeping it, but that is where my mindset is on that. Alrighty, well that's the video. Let me know if you have any agreements or disagreements here, if you would choose any of these palettes from the brands that you have to get rid of. I thought this was just a really fun video idea, this one and the keep one from each brand as well. It just sounded like fun, so I thought I would do it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you next time. Bye.